Evening, America. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson here. Are liberals starting to ruin your daily life? Is it getting to the point where you're having trouble sleeping at night because you're so worried about losing your American values? Well, it's time you discovered the ancient, mysterious art of meditation through the Conservative Meditation album. It's a 4-disc set starring meditation narrator and Queen of Chill, Senator Katie Britt.
Breathe in. Forget all those I can't breathe chants. And release.
Does your child's multi-ethnic friend group cause you suspicion? Or worse yet, do things like abortion and contraception scare the excrement out of you? Well, we didn't forget the baby section. Just place your headphones on your baby bump. Sit back and relax while Senator Britt talks to your baby.
You will live.
If modern day PC culture is tearing your life apart, you don't want to miss this exclusive offer for the Conservative Meditation album. All 4 discs can be yours for less than minimum wage. What are you waiting for? Pick up that phone and dial 1-800-CON-ALBM. God bless America.
From Studio 519 in downtown Albuquerque, it's Pick Up New Mexico. Tonight's guest is New Mexico State Auditor Joseph Maestas. Music from Hataałii. Studio DJ David. And now your host, Isiah Yazzie.
Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 1 of Pick Up New Mexico. I'm your host, Isiah Yazzie. Mitch McConnell is stepping down as Senate leader to accept his new position as leader of the Volturi in the Twilight Saga Downfall. In repeated news, the $200 million New Mexico spaceport is still an unused money pit. But rumor has it that Meow Wolf has offered to purchase the unused spaceport in order to convert it from a money pit to a fuzzy neon money vacuum. Yeah. An Albuquerque police officer who failed to show up to court almost over 100 times the last decade is currently under investigation for possible corruption. Yeah, so far, over 200 DUIs have been vacated. Yeah. Apparently, the officer told many he arrested that he would not attend court if the driver hired a particular attorney. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Thomas Clear. Allegedly, for $8,500, DA Clear offered that the DUI would be dismissed and the arrest taken off the record. So when Burke isn't Breaking Bad, it turns into a Better Call Saul episode. I'm glad the city banned the show Cops from filming here because cops arresting cops would have been an embarrassing episode. New research suggests, how about this? New research suggests New Mexico has the lowest rates of cancer in the United States. It makes sense because nothing helps build tolerance like using uranium water for baby formula. Thank you, baby, for showing up. Actually, Native Americans experience higher rates of cancer than the average American. Oh, wait, 1 second. Oh, this just in. Good news. No natives were harmed in this study because no natives were asked to participate. During Donald Trump's speech at CPAC, his immigration content went a little further than it ever has before into language itself. Donald Trump said, "We have languages coming into our country. They have languages nobody in this country's ever heard of, and it's a horrible, horrible thing. Yeah. The only unknown language Donald Trump should be worried about is sealed indictment envelopes. And the inventor of Confefe is worried about words we've never heard about. Come on, the Donald. Confefe. Anyway, a lot of you white millennials are on course to become the wealthiest generation in history. Yeah. This transfer of wealth will amount to $90 trillion in just the U.S. alone. Yeah. Millennials of color, you're getting a perfectly seasoned cast iron pan. I had a cast iron, but I had to pawn it. You know, just the economics of being brown. Pet DNA company DNA My Dog has been called into question after identifying a human as a canine. Yeah. Now there's a way to prove if you really got that dog in you. Who let those dogs out? In other news, an 83-year-old man and his 55-year-old accomplice were recently arrested for a string of bank robberies in Chicago. Yeah, with Republicans cutting Social Security. Trust me. Let me see. If you'd been there, let me try that again. If you had been there, if you had seen it, I bet you would have done the same. Awesome. If you don't get that, go watch Chicago, or you're probably a straight white male. So thank you guys so much for tuning into the first monologue. We'll be right back with New Mexico State Auditor Joseph Maestas. Yeah, and music from Hataałii. We'll see you right after these scenes, or these commercials.
The following is a paid advertisement for Indian in a can.
Has this ever happened to you?
Oh, hi. Are you Navajo?
Yeah.
Hataałii. Ruth Yinishi. I live in Window Rock.
Are you tired of being ignored when you try to speak Navajo to somebody who slightly looks Indian to you? Hi, White Feather Billy here for Indian in a Can, the new and easy way to solve all your white problems. Spray it all away with Indian in a Can.
You'll be saying, how, every time. Don't believe me? Here are a few celebrities who use Indian in a can daily.
I never went a day without Indian in a can during my presidential campaign.
Indian in a Can is not a white man dressed in red face, but an actual Indian. Being born Indian is a 1 in a billion chance, but with Indian in a Can, you can now be that Cherokee princess that you've always claimed to be. Indian in a Can works by attaching red molecules to other red molecules right in the can. Our non-toxic propellant is used to spray out the red molecules. Once these molecules are exposed to oxygen, they attach and overtake white molecules. Indian in a Can isn't just for white complex ideas, but can be used for everyday uses like archery, climbing over barbed wire fence, or even getting that secret native deal at Indian Market. Call right now and I will send you 11 ounces of Indian in a Can. But through this exclusive television offer, we'll double it. Yes, we'll double it. And I'll send you another 11 ounces of Indian in a Can for free. Republican, Democrat, vegan, or just in plain denial, spray it all away with Indian in a Can. But wait, call now and I'll send you a long-lasting portable size of Indian in a Can for free. With Indian in a Can, you'll be saying how every time.
If you want to order Indian in a can, please pick up your phone and call 1-800-INDIAN for you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming back and tuning in to our first episode of Pick Up New Mexico. We have a very, very special guest here today. We have the New Mexico State Auditor, Joseph Maestas. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Great,
Good to
thank
see you. Woo. Man, I didn't know if I sit down first or you sit down first.
Well, I
you
thought
know?
the couch would be much lower than your table, so thank you for that.
Yes, of course. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you.
You staying safe from the wind out there and everything?
Oh, well, it's like a wind tunnel out there, downtown Albuquerque, but yeah.
Oh, man. Do you work out at all today? How many miles do you run?
I ran 3.5 miles.
Man, that was 1 mile with resistance.
I wish I had a tailwind the whole time.
Oh, that would have been a lot easier. You should run the other direction, away from the studio. Awesome. So, I know a lot of people here, a lot of people watching are wondering, what does the state auditor do? I know auditor, that sounds like a scary word, but can you just kind of describe what your job entails?
Well, you know what? Anytime I meet with people, I get long faces because they're so worried, and I just say, hey, relax. I come in peace. But really what we do, it's serious business. The Office of the State Auditor is one of several executive agencies. We're not like a cabinet department under the governor's authority. It's a constitutional office that's fairly independent. And so it is an independent, nonpartisan office. And what we do is we oversee audits of all public entities throughout New Mexico. We're talking over 1,000.
Oh, man.
Yeah. We also regulate independent public accounting firms. We have to vet them every year, ensure they have proper training before they can go out and contract with public entities to do their audits. So these public accounting firms are essentially agents. They're an extension of my office and my authority.
Okay. And so you're telling me that you get elected into this position pretty much, or do you get appointed?
It's an elected position statewide.
Okay,
yeah.
Awesome. And what's it like on the campaign trail?
Oh, running statewide in New Mexico, it is really tough. It's a big state. The constituency, it's a big tent, very diverse. You really have to be in a lot of places. It's an experience of a lifetime, but it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, I mean, imagining running in New Mexico, I'm like, all right, if I had to go to Navajo Nation, like Gallup town, hair up, hair back, slicked back, looking good. I go to Santa Fe, I let it down, and all the old Santa Fe people, the ladies are like, oh my God, who are you? Like, what position? And I'm like, I'm just a regular old native dude. So I can't imagine how, got to go to Santa Fe, Las Cruces, Gallup, Raton. Do you have a favorite city in New Mexico?
No, I love them all. Isn't that a great answer? But I want to tell you, I did the Shiprock parade last year.
Oh, man.
That was, it's got to be the longest parade in New Mexico. But I met so many people. It was incredible. I really enjoyed it.
It's longer than 3 miles, right?
It is. It's
so you train for the Shiprock parade every year. You're like, oh man, time to walk. Time to do that long walk. So you're talking about overseeing over 1,000 agencies here in New Mexico. And I know that New Mexico is kind of the land of mañana, the land of tomorrow.
Yeah.
So what's that? Are people always running late? Do they turn in things on time? Are you always running late? Do the people, you know what I mean?
That's a good question. I mean, no, there is a whole host of public accounting standards that all these public entities have to comply with, and it's the public accounting firms that represent me that do their audits. They have to ensure that they're in compliance with all these standards. There's deadlines set for different categories of public entities to submit their audits. And so it's very regimented, very regulated, and very precise in terms of the necessary training to continue to do public accounting and public auditing. But really, it's an industry kind of in crisis right now because the public accounting industry has been contracting over the last 10 years. And it's concerning to me, and I know it's concerning to a lot of public entities and people out there that care whether or not their public money is being managed properly in an accountable and transparent manner.
Yeah, and I know with like New Mexico, we're getting a huge boost in state revenue and everything, and everybody wants a piece of it, right?
I do, and I didn't get much of a piece of it in this last session. I have a flat operating budget. I did get an appropriation for a big program that I launched last year to help these small local public bodies become financially compliant. Acequias, land grants, mutual domestics. They have been, over the last decade or so, they've been allowed to fall further and further behind in their financial compliance. And any public entity that stands to get capital outlay, they can't access it unless they're financially compliant. So there's a big incentive there to become financially compliant and maintain your compliance. That way you can access your capital outlay.
Everything you have, yeah. I mean, again, if I was running, I would be late. I'd be late all the time, and it would be a problem on my end. But maybe I'd help you. You'd help me
Yeah.
figure out my budget.
I invite you to come to the office, meet the team. It's a very small office, 41 employees, fully staffed. My budget's about 4.2 million. But again, our mandate is large and extensive.
Well, if you ever need a talk show where to throw us in that budget, let us know. Are there any punishments for people for cities, municipalities who don't turn in their documents on time? What's
Yeah, as
the
I mentioned, if they're not compliant, they can't access their capital outlay. But there's other organizations that manage funding across the state. New Mexico Finance Authority, they manage the water fund. And before any public entity applies for water funding, they have to be financially compliant. The Interstate Stream Commission manages a program for acequias. It's called the Acequia Infrastructure Program. They have to be financially compliant before they can apply for acequia infrastructure. So it's not just capital outlay. There's other funding that's at stake if they're not financially compliant. So it is an incentive for public entities to be compliant.
Okay. Maybe we'll have to get you on our budget, because I know our budget is just through the roof of like dispensary budget. Like a lot of our budget goes to dispensaries. So we gotta help. Maybe you can help us figure that out. I mean, maybe it's just all of that I'm smoking that I can't seem to figure out our financial.
Well, thank goodness we don't audit dispensaries, because the industry's still on the upside, and I know there was some confusion over the way the excise tax was being assessed when they first rolled out the program. But no, just public entities. And then we also audit conservatorships. This was a mandate in 2021 that was passed by the legislature. It's very unique in that now we're actually auditing private financial information. So there's adult populations out there that can't manage their own assets, so they hire a conservator, and their conservators submit annual financial reports to my office, about 1,300 a year. Wow. And so we review them and then determine whether or not we want to audit it. So that's another new function of the office that's a vast departure from the past, in that in the past it only worked with public financial information, not private.
Okay, I'm thinking of like Britney Spears when you say conservativeship or stuff.
That's
like
exactly
that.
it. Yeah. In
Well,
fact,
maybe I'll hire you as my conservative.
One of my
person.
slides has a sign. It's a kind of a caricature of it's a Free Britney, sign.
Oh,
if you
yeah,
remember
yeah.
when that was really.
The guy crying on
Yeah,
camera
yeah,
and everything.
yeah.
Yeah. Man, you're speaking of all this money, and all I can think about is corruption. Is there any kind of corruption that goes on with?
I'm glad you mentioned that. One other really serious. The most serious function that we have is that we basically handle anonymous fraud, waste, and abuse complaints. So anyone that has or any information about potential fraud, waste, and abuse, they can complain anonymously through our online intake. And
what is that? Apple seems to be charging me every month.
It's through our website, but we average one complaint a day. 2 out of every 3 are actionable. Right now we have about 300 active cases.
Wow.
But what happens is we do an examination and then we make referrals. We make referrals to prosecuting authorities, which is typically a district attorney in that locality. If it requires additional law enforcement, we refer it to state police or a local sheriff. Also, since the creation of the Ethics Commission, if we find potential wrongdoing by an elected or appointed official, we'll make a referral to the State Ethics Commission. So that's a really sobering part of what we do. We never know what's going to come in the door, and I can tell you poor decisions are being made all over the state with respect to managing public money. And I brought this. I never really use this as a prop, but I do have a badge in that my office does have subpoena authority.
Oh.
Yeah, and so we can subpoena any public financial information.
Okay.
We have been exercising our subpoena power in the conservatorships, so we've been subpoenaing a lot of private financial information.
Wow. Can I say that one more time?
Sure.
Let's get this gold for everybody at home on this camera there.
I don't normally flash tin, but I thought it's a pretty good prop for your first
tin.
weekly
There we
talk
go.
show.
Yeah, how do I get me one of these?
I could deputize you.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
Can you also marry? Can you marry me? Can you? What is it called when you marry? Can you do my vows? But it looks pretty good.
It does. It matches your suit very well.
I'm subpoenaing you. Harry, you're subpoenaed. That'd be fun to subpoena our producer, Harry. He keeps all the budget and
Harry's a
everything.
good friend of mine, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
From LA via La Mesilla. I mean, what a story.
Yeah, all the way. But before you were state auditor, what else did you do? I know that
I was a public regulation commissioner.
Okay. Any big accomplishments on that?
Yeah, well, we denied the merger between Avangrid and P&M.
That's who Kamala was calling when she said, "We did it, Joe. We did it."
One of my other big decisions, I was a lead commissioner in establishing the community solar program.
Oh, okay.
This is one of the most significant energy justice programs the state has ever passed. It basically sets aside an allocated 200 megawatts for people that can't afford rooftop solar, for disadvantaged populations, and it sets aside 30 to 50%. And so I'm very proud of that. In fact, the Supreme Court just denied all the investor-owned utilities' legal attempts to delay it. So I'm really proud of finally, ushering in community solar, the merger. We did some other really good things, though. We did.
Awesome. Well, wow, there's just so much we could talk about for the whole night, but I'll have to have you back on. Everybody, State Auditor Joseph Maestas, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in back to Pick Up New Mexico. Our next guest is Spin Magazine's breakout star of 2023. Please welcome to Studio 519, Hataałii.
A glow, a shallow hole in your eyes, and darkness rose just to get well dressed, to look his best. To impress Beethoven and lilac girls who crawl together, laughing matters and shooting stars, passerbyers and whipping cars. And then the story of Francisco shot away by the unholy jester, who in his eyes didn't seem to care. Your age-old stone breaks apart somewhere, by the child whose mother had lost her hair. to our great defeat, limping up the stairs.
Wow. Hataałii, thank you so much. Story of Francisco, everybody. Check him out on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, whatever you got. Thank you guys so much for tuning into our first episode. We will see you next week, same time, same place.